You've been waiting all night for this. Please welcome Toaster Music to the Dung Mummy Radio Show. Toaster Music. Welcome to the show. You listen to keelradio.org. This is the Ustad. You've been listening to Toaster Music on Dung Mummy Radio. Got the members of Toaster Music right here. Welcome to the show.
What's up?
What's your name, fella?
I'm Sander.
Sander?
I'm Sumako.
Sander and Sumako. You guys drove up here from Long Beach.
That is right.
How was that drive?
It was beautiful, man. It was just a breeze. No problems at all.
You went past the L.A. River, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, scooped that out real nice for us.
I missed all of that. I didn't.
You didn't pay attention.
I didn't see that at all.
No, we were only focused on one thing, and that is this radio station.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your setup here, because I'm hearing music that reminds me of music for airports and all these classic records from the 70s through 80s, electronics, and I expect that people are probably imagining that you have walls and walls of Moog equipment and things like that. What are you guys using?
Well, primarily, for between the both of us, we got a lot of Korg gear. So
Korg.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can get a phone call from those guys. That'd be nice. We're
You
using
should be
their
sponsored by Korg. 'Cause
we are the masters of using their Korg Chaos gear, and I'm serious when I say that. I mean, I have taken a piece of gear that a lot of Chaos Oscillator fans have always complained about as far as nailing down specific notes, meaningful notes off of this Chaos Oscillator Pro.
Yeah.
And I've incorporated a device called the Korg Pad Control, and I've been able to get really good melodies right out of the Chaos Oscillator Pro. It's such a fun setup, and maybe one day I'll be nice and I'll do a tutorial on YouTube. My bandmate here has been bugging me to do something like that.
You need to do that, because I think the engineers at Korg need to see what you guys are doing, because this is probably exactly what they envision that musicians could do,
but
with imagination and knowledge of how to use the equipment.
And here, Stander, my bandmate over here, has become really familiar with and showing what can be done with the Chaos Oscillator Pro's ability to be an external MIDI controller with his Nord. I think he'd tell you more about that.
Well, I've been into analog synthesis since the early 80s. I had the good fortune of learning on a Moog system, a Moog modular system in Long Beach at Long Beach City College, and I fell in love with that analog synthesis back then, and I've always really wanted to have a proper synthesizer of my own, and I had a keyboard for a while that was pretty wonky. It was called a Bit 1, made by Krumar, and it was...
I've never heard of one of those.
Nobody has, because they kind of suck. But not that long ago, I got the Novation Nova, which is sort of a digital model of analog synthesis, and it's a really nice rig. And then I also recently got the a Nord Micro Modular, which is a very weird beast. And that basically is a modular synthesizer on a chip. And you actually have to create all your patches on your computer, download them into the little box, and then have some sort of a system to control the box. And so I use the Chaos Oscillator Pro as my controller for the Nord, and that's quite nice.
So is that controlled through MIDI control?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a number of different controllers on the Chaos Oscillator Pro, and I have basically access to 3 different parameters in addition to the note that I'm playing. So it's a pretty simple setup, actually. I'm also using my phone to play samples, and I also have a stereo delay that I sometimes pop things into.
So pretty much we're safe to assume that every single thing we're hearing is digital.
Yeah.
Rather than analog. Because people talk about analog as, this is what you have to have for a great tone and great sounds, which obviously you listen to old recordings from the 1970s, early 80s, that's like, oh my God, listen to that analog stuff. But you guys have mastered getting that tone out of this compact digital equipment.
Well, I want to say that the designers of Nord and Novation are really the people that deserve most of the credit, because they've done a fantastic job of implementing these kind of modeling systems, and it's great for me. It's great fun for me because I can haul a ton of capability in a very small package.
Yeah. And the same.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
And the same kind of, goes with what I've been able to pull out of Korg's gear. So, and being able to keep things as compact and portable as possible, especially for different size spaces. Toaster Music has been taking on projects where we are actually activating spaces for what we call pop-up venues, a combination of music performances, music shows that include art as an addition.
Right.
And we also have video projections that we use.
Multimedia.
Nice.
Oh,
That's great.
Oh, shoot. Sanders a genius with that the video production. It's amazing. I supply him with all these killer graphics, and he comes back with something that's just, wow, I didn't even think of that. That's mind-blowing. So...
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really fun. We've been participating in this event called First Fridays in Bixby Knolls, which is a neighborhood of Long Beach, and it happens every first Friday of the month. And we have basically been given the opportunity to activate various empty storefronts, so that during this big sort of art walk event, hundreds and hundreds of people come, and there we are in some empty place that would otherwise be dark. Filled up with beautiful art and light and music, and kids come in, little kids come in and dance.
They respond to it, huh?
Yeah. And
I saw a picture on your website. Some kids were dancing like crazy when you guys were playing.
That was fun. That was great. I mean,
you gotta love that.
Yeah, I was just rocking. At first, when the little kids come and see us, because our image with the gas mask and the chem suits and so forth, and our whole little playing off of a backstory of a larger conspiracy, and these kids come walking through, and at first they're like, oh, do we really okay, and then they get in, they listen to the music. I jump to the set. I think there's a picture where you can see the kids dancing, and then there's me in the background mixing something, and the kids are just having such a great ball, and that's really what it is all about. It's just having fun and enjoying. That's the one thing we enjoy about this. So
let's talk about the chem suits and the masks. What's up with that?
Oh, what's up with that? Well,
we had an opportunity to do something actually pretty extraordinary, at least in my mind, and that was we got invited to perform at the Long Beach Zombie Walk. And there were three performance areas. There were two inside the main kind of area, and then there was a third one called the Resistance Stage. And so the theme was sort of like these bands were like fighting against the zombies, like anti-zombie. And so we had done our toaster music thing for a while, but we were like, we need to step it up a notch and really sort of show the zombies what for. So Sumako, I think, had the idea of the hazmat outfits, and he made one of the masks. I got a mask for myself, and then in addition to that, at that particular performance, we had several professional models who were zombified, and during our performance came and attacked us, and Sumako and I sonically fought them off.
Oh, that was like Ministry on acid. It was intense. But basically, Sandra will come up with a brilliant idea like this, and then I'll just take it full throttle into something completely different. So now we have a backstory that's being written about the secrets of government scientists who are actually railing against what's being done with their technology. They're called the DRP, the Department of Resistance and Power. Yeah, and they've really they're pretty upset. I think somebody sent me a text message, kind of unhappy with the drones that are flying around. So and they developed this stuff for different purposes. So
and once the virus gets out, it's really hard to contain.
Oh yeah, and
that's one of the downsides of this.
That's
kind of
another
research,
issue. Is there's a virus issue going on, and we have to watch out. So
that's why you guys are wearing the protective suits.
We're representing a future that could possibly happen if no one's careful.
Yeah, and I like to think that part of what we're doing is battling the zombie horde sonically. Not just with our.
What did you find during Zombie Walk that your frequencies did to the zombies? I mean, did it stop them, or did it slow them down? Or
well, right in the middle of our performance, I mean, it was really extraordinary. Right in the middle of our performance, all of the zombies literally marched right by where we were playing. Hundreds and hundreds. I don't know how many. I don't know how many there were, but it was a huge parade of zombies, and they moved past us rather quickly for zombies, especially. I think they were a little intimidated.
So they were more of the George Romero type of zombies rather than the 28 Days Later or the Will Smith. What's the I Am Legend? Run really fast type of zombies.
We had to deal with a few of those. There's one picture where I'm performing, and you can see there's this other zombie that is just literally shocked, and he just can't move. The sonic chord we put out was just unbelievable.
You hit the frequency that stops a zombie. That's
yes, exactly.
So that's I think part of the challenge and part of the opportunity, really, of performing in toaster music is the biological implications of sonic energy. Yeah.
So what is that logo that is on your chem suit there?
Oh, well, if you see that's an ohm. It's an ohm, okay, right? It's the omega. You're right, but it's the ohm symbol, and it's resistance and power.
So there's sort of a bolt, the power symbol of
you
electricity.
Got it.
It's the DRP.
I see. Okay. So you have that stenciled on the back of your suits and on the front there.
That's right. Just in case people are confused by our outfits.
So, you guys, you really seem like you would be straight out of a Jean-Pierre Jeunet film or
that would be fantastic.
Or Brazil. Or one of those great movies.
You know what? We're available for consulting services.
So, what about the name of the band? Where in the hell did that come from?
Ooh, I get to tell that fun story. It's so much fun. Well, in the whole thing of dealing with the zombies and the chemical warfare and things of that nature, we have to watch out. There's another side to everything, and that's basically transhumanism. So. And the potentiality of human evolution growing to even greater stakes, and to a point of where we could potentially our next bodies would not necessarily be entirely organic, but mix of the organic and the inorganic, and in which case, again, looking towards the future of possibilities,
like sort of futurism in a way. Yeah.
Basically, toaster has been a long time derogatory term used by a lot of filmmakers and television shows who make sci-fi films as a term to describe androids
and robots.
And so it's basically, it doesn't matter if you look human, if you're beautiful, but if you're an android, you're nothing better than a piece of a toaster, a household appliance, a nice chrome toaster.
Like the Cylons of the...
Yeah, exactly.
the newer version of Battlestar Galactica.
There you go.
Yeah.
Skin jobs, toasters,
there you go,
chrome domes, whatever. And so we play off of that.
So and originally Sumako's idea for the name was music for toasters, and of course I'm always about simplifying things. And so I said, what about toaster music? So
when I asked Senator to join in, his first absolute amazing contribution was shortening the name down. So
okay, well, I've got a couple more questions now. You're sitting here in the studios of killradio.org, which is an anti-corporate radio collective, basically.
Oh, yes.
So what about the politics, or maybe even local politics, that you guys are active?
Oh, you don't really want us to go into that, do you?
You know, again, this is, there
we
is...
just all want to get along.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, and this is what, we support where you're coming from with the Kill Radio. But there's what we have discovered is much more deeper politics that most of the world is just not paying attention to, and so we're again looking at the real deep issues, that go beyond what is the surface, all the distractions. So, but initially, we're not into just talking about politics. We're also into just changing people's minds just through the sonic sound of our music, and that's where we're really at. So. We're open to everyone and everything, and we want everybody to enjoy where we're coming from. So it's like when you're outside of a toaster music venue, you can go ahead and do your politics or whatever. But when you come inside, it's everybody's all toasty.
So let's get to the heart of the interview. Where's the music coming from? I mean, what are you guys trying to do? What are your influences?
Well, one of the things that I've really embraced in the last 10, 12 years of my life is this idea of improvisation. And the burden of rehearsal and composition and having a repertoire is something that I just isn't practical for me. So over the last almost the last decade, basically, I've been trying to move away from repertoire and more towards improvisation. That started with, being a huge fan of Brian Eno and Robert Fripp and Frippatronics and that kind of thing, live looping, which I've been doing for decades in one form or another.
And in the last 10 years, it's become in the hands of any musician through technology.
Right. And
affordable.
And absolutely, yeah. But I mean, I used to work at a radio station, and they had Studer half tracks, and I would literally, on my free time, go into the studio and fire up a loop between the two machines and literally sing into the microphone.
Oh, God.
And just create layers and layers of melody and harmony, and it's a beautiful thing to do. And so I don't know, a while back I started doing that on my own, and subsequently that's why I connected with Karloff.
Karl F. Off?
Yes, sir. He and so he and I did Ein so far together.
Wonderful project.
Yeah, and again, that was all improvised, and
yep.
And through that effort, actually, I got connected with Sumako, and Sumako has a totally different aesthetic than the one that we pursue in Ein so far, but it was also sort of, I saw it as fitting into what I love to do, which is the analog synthesis stuff, and electronica. He has a much deeper background into that than I do, but it's for me. It's fun. It's fun to try to be present in the moment, put everything else out, and just be right there.
Is it
right
just
there.
Is there any musical that you work out in advance, or?
No, I mean,
or is it just because you've carefully chosen someone who you know is going to work well with you? Or, I
think it's more the aesthetic than any particular part or pattern. Sumako sometimes prepares beats. Sometimes he just makes them up on the fly. Sometimes it's a bit of both. Sometimes we prepare samples in advance. Like for tonight's show, I prepared some samples for this particular show. But like last month, it was a sort of a Mardi Gras theme. Okay. And so we did some second line beats that Sumako programmed, and I created some samples that I recorded at a printmaking studio. He actually was playing some of them tonight. So we don't over prepare. We just try to prepare by being ready to be in that moment.
But to me, I don't know about the other listeners out there, but to me it sounds like you are massively prepared and rehearsed, and that's what it sounds like to me.
I want to speak on that because that's one of my favorite parts. But let me bring in my favorite piano here for a moment. This is a nice part. There we go. I want to speak over that because it's such a beautiful thing. But really what you and probably the listeners, the audience are catching is a really good gelled relationship between two musicians who just really connect musically more than anything. And that's one of the things I noticed when we first performed together. Is like, wow, this is the first person I ever played with that I feel like I'm really connected
psychically.
Yeah, it could be psychic. Who knows? Lovers from a past life. I don't know. So
okay, I was gonna say spiritually, but
okay. right. But no. But really, from my end, it's like what I call controlled chaos. So, and going, I guess we'll just segue here to my history and background. I started off, with the same exact influences. Brian Eno was a big influence of mine, as well as listening to some Robert Fripp. Yep. And then I developed a experimental guitar that was a fretless guitar with a specific sustainer circuit and a string dampener. Yep. And for a long time, I was dedicated to this goal that I'm going to make synthesized sounding music by using the guitar, nothing else.
Love it. I've heard you play many times doing that.
And I have done that solely, and I swore to God I would never touch a synth, an analog. I don't care what the hell it is. No beat machines, no synths, whatever. I will use DJ gear type sound effects and stereo effects for the purposes of creating these unusual sounds on my guitar, but there's no way in hell I'm going to touch a synthesizer. And then one day I saw this thing that was put out by Korg that was a piece of software they put into a Nintendo Game Boy DS or whatever. So, and it was a sequencer synthesizer based on analog sound from the MS-10. I was hooked.
Yeah.
Absolutely hooked. And then later things kind of grew and so forth. And then I started realizing when it came to my music, it was very moody, it was very relaxing, so forth. But I really wanted to get...
Use the word drone.
I wouldn't say drone. I still threw melody in with what I did, but I really wanted to be able to connect to other people and connect to a greater audience. Whenever I do my abstract artwork, that was one of the things. It's like I want to have something that will connect to people.
Right.
And so I started trying to figure out getting more into beats. Figuring out beat making live and on the fly. So, and it just took many years of progression to get that going. So now I feel that where I'm at with toaster music, which is a complete opposite direction than what I started from. Now I've kind of achieved some of the goals that I wanted to achieve in the first place, which is literally taking whatever I could hear in my head and put it out for other people to hear. So. Yeah. And live beat making, that's one of the things that's one of my big deals, so is getting that to gel together.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like about what we do is that even though we may have certain things prepared, it's all ultimately really on the fly, and it requires a certain level of attention and listening and being open to dialogue and interaction, not just with each other but also with the environment we're in. And with the audiences, whether they're there for 2 minutes or 2 hours, I think for both of us, that's one of the most enjoyable parts of it is that space in which these things sort of unfold.
But a lot of it really is preparation and knowing your gear and knowing how to use your equipment. Right?
That would actually you're for me, definitely, without question. It's like I'm trying to pull a lot out of what little I'm brought to the table, as far as the gear, what I buy and purchase. I basically force that gear to scream, literally. It feels like it's being tortured to death. It's like, I can't do it anymore. Yes, you can. Here you go. I found something that will pull that right out of you. You know?
And that's one of the really interesting things I think about Sumako's rig is that he's spent a lot of time. If you look at it, it's a really simple setup, but what he does with it is incredibly sophisticated, and it's not just for its own sake. He's using the resources to make everything more expressive. The music that he creates is more expressive because he's taken the time to figure out all this nuanced technology, and it's great. And for me, I really try to keep things pretty simple, but the time that I've spent.
Ask him about his guitar pedal rig. When he says simple, I kind of chuckle.
Well, I didn't even bring that tonight, but
right.
I do often, almost always, perform with my lap steel.
Yeah.
And I have a pedal rig. It is not that sophisticated, really, and nothing like Stuart Liebig's or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Even your pedal rig is pretty sophisticated too.
Yeah. Well, there's about 5 fuzz pedals on there, but
I've spent a lot of time thinking about what I want to do, and I've come up with something that I really like, and it works for me.
No, it's a beautiful pedal board, especially when he's got his. Most people just don't realize he's playing a lap steel when he's getting those really unique, warm, smooth, and silky clean tones.
Yeah, and I also use an alternate tuning, which confuses people sometimes, but I like it. It's all G.
Oh, wow. Okay.
OG right here. Original G.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we actually have a guest here, a silent partner here in the studio, and that's Randy from Astronovas. We got to give him the mic and just say hello, because he's been sitting here totally getting into it. Hey, hello. Randy, welcome.
Today's been a very weird musical day.
Has it?
Yes.
Welcome to the studios.
Yes. I went to the grocery store to listen to music as usual. Keep up on the contemporary pop.
Okay.
Been listening to Thunders all day.
Thunder. So you've been on the dolls. You've been
melted weird electronics.
Because some days you'll say, you know, I've been just listening to fucking Doom.
I can't deal with this. No, take this away.
Hey, Kill Radio. You always hear the emergency vehicles because we're on a major intersection in Sewer City. You're always going to hear it. So anyway, thanks.
Do you have time for another short set?
We have a lot of time.
A lot of time. I like the sound of that.
If you guys want to play for another 20 minutes, 25.
What do we do like till quarter after?
How about another 15 minutes or 20 minutes? Okay, here they go. I'm going to kill the microphone so you guys can hear some more. Toaster Music, Dung Mummy Radio.